I'm Bruce Press. I'm a photographer and of late an engineer. Anyways, I've given a couple of these talks before, and I will be talking a little bit more about what this is all about and where we're going. It's part of the talk. And as Marv said, I'm doing this on behalf of National Capital Area Skeptics. So this talk is called Uncomfortable Science. Our understanding of the world through science is one of those things that's both a blessing and a curse. We are every day confronted by lots of memes and opinions of friends and various other things that kind of form what our view of the world is. And science is there to both help us, support us in the things that we believe, and also to cut us down. And so if you take the time to look at those things that those beliefs and those things that you believe are true, science can really mess with your head. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. In the course of the talk, there will be periodically like little pop quizzes and various facts and things, just some stuff to maybe challenge some of the things that you think you know about the world and about your beliefs. All right. On the left here, you have a standard pool cue. On the right, you have the Earth, the planet that you're standing on. So which of these is smoother? Defining smoother as the, make sure I get it clear, a greater tolerance for surface imperfections is a ratio to circumference. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just do one clap when I do this. And so those people that think it's the pool cue, all right.
Sorry, I'm unclapping.
Okay, and those people that think it's the Earth. Yes, you are correct. That even because the Earth is so big, I think we kind of forget how big it is, that even with the Marianas Trench and Everest, the Earth is smoother as far as how much variation there is in the surface compared to its diameter. It's probably a little bit rougher if you think of it as more variations, but as far as the relative magnitude of them, it's smoother. All right, so who in this room would define them or declare themselves as a skeptic? That's okay, you can raise your hands. That's fine. So I appreciate you guys being here, and I really appreciate the people that wouldn't define themselves as skeptics. Because hopefully by the end of this talk, maybe we'll convince some of you that it's worth taking a skeptical view of the world. So yes, so those of you that didn't raise your hands, I'm wondering if you don't know what a skeptic is, whether maybe you think it's something that it's not, or you just really identify as somebody who believes just about anything that you hear. So we're going to work through that. So I think you guys have probably seen that billboard. And there's kind of like this meme going around that Einstein failed math. Does anybody here think that Einstein failed a math class?
No.
No. Okay, so Einstein failed a math class.
Maybe.
Einstein did not fail a math class. Okay, so yes, no, Einstein was very, very good at math compared to anybody's measure of math. By 12th grade, he was teaching himself algebra and geometry and, redid the Pythagorean proof, and he went on to teach himself calculus. The rumors started because there were times when he would reach out to other mathematicians to check his work or to do math that he was thinking sort of on a broader scale, and the detail of the math would lead to other people.
Actually, the myth got started because a German was writing about his grade report, and in Switzerland and Germany, the grade system is reversed.
So sixes became
6 is high and 1 is low, and then in Germany 1 is high and 6 is low, and they looked at his 5s and 6s and thought, oh, how terrible.
Right.
So yeah, no, I mean there were some things about his aptitude as a student in other areas, but he was pretty much at least average in almost any area, and obviously he was great at math. Okay, so getting back to what a skeptic is, I think a lot of people think that skeptic means cynic, that you just doubt stuff, that you don't believe anything you hear. And that's not necessarily true. I mean, given the dictionary definition, I think that that's very possible. I don't think that being cynical is a good thing. I think looking at the world in a positive way instead of by what you're against or what you don't associate with is probably a less fun way of getting through life. So I think that being a skeptic is great. I think it's good for you, but I think being a cynic is kind of a negative thing. So not using the dictionary definition, here's a nice elevator pitch for skepticism, for the skeptical community. The intersection of science, education, and consumer protection is probably one of the best definitions I have. So the skeptical community tries to encourage science education, to promote the proliferation of science understanding, and to do that in a way that helps people make better decisions about purchases, about their life, about things like that. And then I have my own little twist on that. And that is, it's someone who strives to make decisions using the best available information to live a better life in a better world. So just taking information as it comes to you and accepting it, all the memes in social media, the things that you hear on the street, we try to kind of cut through that a little bit and find out where the truth is. And we're all consumers, so being better consumers helps us enjoy our time, the brief time that we have in this world. So, another one of these little quizzes. True or false? There are stars with surfaces colder than a cup of coffee. So you could reach out and touch the surface of a star. Those people that think you can reach out and touch the surface of the star, those people don't think that there are stars that you could reach out and touch. So yes, there is a clever star with a fun name called CFB-DSIR 145810b, and it is a brown dwarf, and its surface temperature is around 206 degrees, so about 97 degrees centigrade, and it's the coldest brown dwarf seen to date. So yeah, brown dwarfs are practically planets. You could maybe almost live on them. All right, so getting down to our uncomfortable science. Why is science uncomfortable? Well, it feels good to be right. We all, appreciate when the world reaches out to us and confirms something we already believe. And in fact, we're hardwired to find those opportunities to be right. And even when it's possible that our view of the world is incorrect, we get dopamine, we get happy when we go ahead and believe that our current view of the world is correct. And science doesn't care about that. And we have a hard time with people not caring about the things we believe. So this is Carol Tavris. She wrote a book called Mistakes Were Made, But Not By Me. It's fantastic. If you have the opportunity to pick it up, I suggest everybody does. One of the things that's been part of my skeptical journey is understanding more about how I think, how I view the world, and this has been a big part of it. So the book is mostly about confirmation bias. So confirmation bias is our preference to view those things in the world that confirm what we already believe. So it makes us happy to do that. And it makes us so happy, we'll do an awful lot to ignore or controvert things that go against it. And that ties in a great deal to talk 2 times ago, which was about conspiracy theory. And a a lot of people who look at conspiracy theories on the web and in the newspaper and are just like, how could somebody believe that craziness? And it's by ignoring facts. It's ignoring stuff that would disconfirm the things that you believe about the world. So yeah, so there's an inertia to us, understanding, believing things that go against what we already believe. So yeah, so when something goes against what we believe, it makes us physically feel bad. It's like somebody hurt your feelings. You end up very, very tied to your belief about the world. And it doesn't have to be something huge. It could be something small. It could be that you left your keys on the table by the front door, and somebody says, well, they weren't there, and you're like, but I know they were there. I mean, it doesn't feel good to be told you're wrong. Nobody likes that. And you have a very personal relationship with your worldview. It's an emotional tie to those things that you believe about the world. Stronger or lesser depending on what that topic is. But it is like being broken up with when somebody takes some part of your worldview and undercuts it and takes it away from you. So George Orwell understood this as well. And so he had a very similar quote to the one that Carol Tavers had. But it's about how hard we'll even work to keep that model true for us. And again, that comes back to the conspiracy theory stuff, is that we'll hold on to it. We will fight, like you were protecting your child, to keep that worldview, to keep that knowledge true, even when it's not. I don't think you necessarily have to go to war to have that happen, but The adorable tardigrade. So here's a fact that'll mess you up. So a tardigrade was revived after being frozen for A, 90 minutes, B, 72 hours, C, 11 months, or D, 30 years. So for those people who think that a tardigrade after being frozen was woken up after 90 minutes, nobody. Okay. 72 hours. Okay.
Can we clap more than once?
No. You could. I don't know, I'm not sure how that's going to help you. Okay. 11 months. Okay. And 30 years. Wow. Okay, see, either you people are really well read or you know how my punchlines go. I'm not sure which it is. Yes, it was 30 years. So in 1983, Japanese scientists accidentally scooped up 2 tardigrades in an egg when they were collecting a sample of moss. And they stored it at 4 degrees Fahrenheit. And then 30 years later, 1 tardigrade and the egg lived and are now slowly coming back to life. 30 years. Okay, so we talked a little bit about confirmation bias. That is that bias we have to reinforce the things we believe, right? If I'm not going to make this thing political, so but you see it every day. If you spend any time on Facebook or watching the nightly news, if you thought and introspected, when somebody puts, I don't care if you're for Bernie or Hillary or Trump, if they put out something that is against them, you tend to dismiss it if you are, if you're a Trump supporter. If you're not, or a Hillary supporter. If you're not, then you tend to listen to it and go, yeah, see, that's what I thought, right? Yeah. But if you don't, you tend to ignore it. It's not the thing you share to all your friends, right? It's not the thing you click like on. You just kind of ignore it and hope it'll go away. That way you can keep your model and it makes you feel better. So there are various kinds of information bias. One is heuristics. We create shorthands because nobody can sit and evaluate every piece of information that comes their way in the daily life in a full and reasonable manner. So what we do is we have heuristics. We have shortcuts to making decisions, to evaluating information, and they're not helpful. They're problematic. And other shortcuts. Anytime that you are skipping around the process of evaluating things with full information, you'd lead yourself down a bias path. And these help us. When you're driving a car, you're not doing the calculus all the time, right? You're not figuring out, are you closing with that other person? You have various things that you kind of know that if it's staying along with you as you're moving forward, you're probably going to collide. So you do this stuff without having to consciously think about it. So there are ways that help us, but understanding that process also can help you make better decisions. Inattention, we ignore stuff. And of course, there's other ones as well. Then there's ego bias, right? So this is a lot of the other things we were talking about. We don't like to feel bad. We like to be happy about our things. So if it's something that makes us unhappy about our lives, it's why some people don't believe that their spouse is cheating. It's why you may not try and find out that car that you loved because the sports car is fantastic was an unreasonable decision for you to make. And then there's our friends. And our friends aren't there to necessarily help us make the most wise decisions. Our friends have the same thing. They want us to make decisions that align with their worldview so they feel good about it. They get reinforced if we make decisions that are in line with their worldview as well. So you also see that on Facebook, right? That's why they share the things that are positive about Bernie and negative about Trump. That's why they'll share things that say the FBI was behind the Boston Marathon bombing. Hopefully you don't have friends like that, but you probably have family like that, right? Because you don't get to. Authority, a lot of times we're actually raised to give up our free ability to make decisions, right? We're raised to look at politicians and teachers and parents and religious leaders and community leaders, and we give up some aspect of our control over our decisions to them. It's easier, right? I mean, you assume that they've done the work, that they've done the legwork and figured things out for you. So, I trusted them on this issue, I can trust them on the next issue. And more. All right. This is great. I see the picture coming up for the next slide. I'm not sure what it was about. So another quote from Carol Tavris from her book, "Science is a form of arrogance control." I thought I should have seen the other slide. And here's another skeptical hero, Dr. Stephen Novella.
You're going to have to read that.
Yeah.
I will. So he wrote, "What do you think science is? There's nothing magical about science. It is simply a systematic way for carefully and thoroughly observing nature and using consistent logic to evaluate results. Which part of that exactly do you disagree with? Do you disagree with being thorough? With using careful observation, being systematic, or using consistent logic?" There is a prevalent anti-science, I won't call it a movement, but there's an undercurrent of anti-science, especially in the current political climate. But science doesn't care. And one of the things that I like about this is I think we use science imprecisely. Science is a process. It gets used as a determination of fact. They get used interchangeably. I don't particularly like that. So it is a process, and it is one of the best processes we have for evaluating the world around us. So when you say something like science says, it's not precise. It's not a good way of talking about it. The results of scientific investigation provide this provisional fact. Is a more accurate way of doing it. So there's a nuance to it, and I think that that his definition brings that out, and I think that's important. That it's a systematic way for observing nature and using consistent logic to evaluate. And that's also the difficult thing. We go back to biases. We're inconsistent. We're emotional. We don't like give every bit of information the same level of credence provisionally. Things kind of make us happy, make us sad. We take the happy, we kind of lose the sad. So science doesn't care. It's like the honey badger. It doesn't give to what you believe, what you want to be true. So the process is a process. It doesn't care about you or your feelings.
Africa's answer to the Wolverine.
Okay, here's another one. This is also multiple choice, so listen to the choices and then you'll respond with one clap. The DNA in your body, laid out end to end, would stretch across A, 2 football fields, B, the state of Oklahoma, C, around the world twice,
Which way?
or D, we're going to go with the equator. How's that? I know it's a little bit longer than going the other way, but we're going to stick with that. Or D, Pluto went back 17 times.
How many parsecs is that?
Okay, those people that think it's A, 2 football fields.
Yeah.
You came in late, but yeah, you're there. Okay. B, the state of Oklahoma.
North end or south?
People, work with me here. Around the world at the equator twice. Or to Pluto and back 17 times. Ooh, I won one. Nice. Actually, it's to Pluto and back 17 times. Yeah. Let's see. Do you want me to read? I'll read it to you real quick, okay? The human genome, the genetic code in each human cell, contains 23 DNA molecules, each containing from 500,000 to 2.5 million nucleotide pairs. DNA molecules of this size are 1.7 to 8.5 centimeters long on average. There are about 37 trillion cells in the human body, and if you uncoiled all the DNA in each cell and put them end to end, then these would be length of, 1.2 times 10 to the 13 meters. So, yeah, 17 times. So there you go. I'm glad I was able to surprise you guys with one. Nice. Okay, so here are the things that this talk is not going to be about. It's not about acupuncture, although it could be. It is a very valid skeptical topic, but we're not going to be talking about that today. If you do believe in acupuncture, I suggest you determine to get uncomfortable. It is not going to be about climate change because it's almost not worth talking about. That's the controversy over climate change is political and it is emotional and it is all bias because right now the science is on one side of that issue. And it is not about vaccines because I won't insult your intelligence by having to talk to you about vaccines. But being around unvaccinated people should make you uncomfortable. So what else is this not about? We are not going to be talking about cryptids.
I'm out of here.
But, I don't think that you guys are that credulous or superstitious to think that there is Bigfoot, that there are ghosts. And also, if you want to know about UFOs, I did that talk a few years ago, and you can find it online. So we're not going to be talking about that. No, what I wanted to talk about, because those are both climate change, vaccines, even cryptids and stuff, are kind of bigger issues. They're not the things you deal with every day. Most people are not worried about whether there are UFOs in their day-to-day life. But you make lots of decisions during the day. So we're going to talk about an issue that maybe you've had to make a decision about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can make you uncomfortable with something that you've probably already made up your mind about. And I'm going to challenge you to see whether you're right or wrong. So we're going to start by making you uncomfortable.
Children.
That's a really.
Yep. That's science, damn it. Okay. So, I'm just going to let you yell out. Who invented the light bulb? Tesla. Edison. Anybody? Anybody else?
Phoenicians.
So, the expectation is that it was Thomas Edison. But another keynote animation or something. No, it's not. So the light bulb actually goes back much, much farther. The origins of it were with Alessandro Volta in 1800, with the basically created a voltaic pile, which is a battery with a copper wire attached to it, and the copper wire would glow. And then you go through a bunch of other people, Humphrey Davy with the arc lamp, William de la Rue, William State, Joe Swan, sorry. Actually, no, somebody named Joe Swan. But anyways, so he actually had a practical working incandescent light bulb. The problem he had was that he didn't have good vacuum technology. So it wasn't a matter of creating the filament and the glass to hold it, is that he couldn't get the air out. And so the filament burnt out too fast. And then there's also Charles Francis Brush, which in the 1880s, he created the electric arc lighting system, which was common across all the United States. And it worked by having an electric arc. It was very bright. It wasn't as controllable. And then eventually, that was like in the 1880s. And then it wasn't until 1879 that Edison patented the first commercially successful light bulb. So a little light bulb trivia there. This is something that is still, for some reason, controversial. We're going to talk a little bit about plastic bags. And I'm going to use plastic bags as an example for something that is a day-to-day choice that you make. Some people may or may not have been driven by social media pressure or Tim Minchin songs or just what their friends say or the parents or whatever. And you probably, if you're a tree hugger, a green person, you probably have an emotional tie to your canvas bag or your reusable bag. So we're just going to talk a little bit about that because I wanted to come up with a meme-worthy issue that we could go into, and maybe you don't know everything that factors into it. So what is so bad about plastic bags? Well, over 1 trillion plastic bags are used worldwide annually. Over 1 trillion plastic bags are used worldwide annually. It's a huge, huge number of bags. That means that, so in the United States, it's billions. That means that every hour, thousands of plastic bags are being used. And only 5 to 10% of plastic bags get recycled. So they end up most of them end up in landfill or in the environment. They show up on beaches, in the water, and they can be really harmful to wildlife. There's a turtle trying to eat a plastic bag. Yep. So what's so bad about them? Well, besides the introduction to nature and being harmful to animals, most plastic bags are made from polyethylene, which is produced from oil and other petrochemicals. Some of the bags used in the United States are manufactured outside the United States and they're shipped here. So you have that impact as well. This particular cargo ship has nothing to do with plastic bags. I just thought it was cool that it was going over. That's right. But they degrade, right? I mean, nothing lasts forever. Well, unfortunately, polyethylene plastic bags will only degrade they're photodegradable. So if you leave them in the sunshine, they will become brittle and they will degrade. Like the ones floating on top of the ocean will degrade. But we don't do that with them. What we do with the majority of them is put them in landfills. And landfills are not sealed, but they are protected from the environment by having clay, like a clay barrier, so that stuff that goes into the landfill doesn't leach out into the, into the environment around it. And these plastic bags are not degradable by bacteria. Bacteria doesn't love them. So the paper and the milk cartons and a lot of the crap that we throw into landfills will degrade with bacteria, but these won't. So how long will these bags hang around? 500 years, longer, 1,000 years if they're not exposed to light. So that's kind of the bad news. I mean, that's why plastic bags need to have a separate stream for disposal and a separate recycling stream. So make you feel good about yourself. You use a reusable bag. You're a hero. Are you? Are you really? This may be where it gets uncomfortable for some of you. So let's start with that one in the middle, cotton canvas. Cotton sucks. It really does. It takes more than 20,000 liters of water to produce 1 kilogram of cotton, which is equivalent to a single t-shirt and a pair of jeans. It's a lot of water. It's a huge environmental impact. And while 2.4% of the world's cropland is planted with cotton, it accounts for 24% of insecticide and 11% of pesticide use. And that canvas bag, unlike the disposable plastic bags, can harbor bacteria and stuff. So how many of you that use cotton canvas bags for shopping throw them in the wash periodically? Good, good. So that is good, but how much energy are you spending washing them and detergent and whatever else?
They go in with the jeans.
Right. Still, though, there is some energy expended there. So let's say your reusable bag is made of plastic, like this one on the right. So maybe 14 times as much plastic as a plastic shopping bag. And the percentage of those reusable shopping bags that get recycled is about the same as the percentage of regular plastic bags that get recycled. So anyways, looking at that bag on the right, that was probably manufactured in China. And that printing on the outside has been found to contain heavy metals. And of course, it was shipped from China. So, you have that whole shipping thing as well. So looking at the estimates, so the cotton bag, it's estimated that it would need to be reused every day for an entire year before it offset the environmental impact of one plastic bag. One plastic bag. That canvas tote bag, again, because of the manufacturing and everything involved in making it, 171 uses to break even. Is he uncomfortable yet?
I'm skeptical about these numbers.
Well, the problem is some of the numbers are tough to get, right? I mean, you're going with the typical energy cost of a plant manufacturing, refined cotton in order to make canvas, the typical, shipping and stuff like that for a canvas bag to come from, say, India or something to the United States. And so, yes, I mean, there is no way to take a bag and say this is exactly what the cost is with that. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate that you're skeptical. Now, on the plus side, although we literally use billions of plastic grocery bags a year in the United States, they represent only about 1% of landfills by volume. And they aren't even the largest part of waste in your typical grocery trip. And that's one of the things that comes up about plastic bags is it's a nice, ban the bag, let's have legislation against it. It's probably not even the worst offender. So besides those, so let's look at what we have here, okay? So these are just some, all this stuff is made out of plastic. So for reference is the grocery store bag. That's about 6 grams of plastic. Then we have the bag that I got from the Chinese restaurant, which is this one, and that's 8. That's a little bit heavier. And then we have the bag when I got my new Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. So Best Buy, that's 9. And then we have, these. Anybody trying to ban these? Okay, so that's 11 grams of plastic. And then we have, the ubiquitous tall kitchen garbage bag. And we have, these mailers, 19 grams of plastic. And we have black garbage bag, which is 29. And then we have the blue recycling bag, which is 53. Hopefully this is more degradable than the supermarket one. You have the evil cotton canvas bag. Let's get rid of that. And then this is 85 grams of plastic. So that's a fair amount compared to what it was. This is not cotton. This. Oh, that one's cotton. Yeah. This one is probably made in China and delivered and printed with awful things. I don't know. So the idea is it's not an easy question to answer. There are a lot of factors. This is why science can make it really uncomfortable. Everybody in this room was very happily taking their reusable bags when they remembered them, feeling guilty when they left them at home or in the car, right? I mean, how many times have we gone like, oh my God, I am a horrible person. I either have to buy another reusable bag or use a disposable one. It's not that simple. It's not a trivial question to answer. So another one of these silly things. True or false? There are more ways to shuffle a deck of cards than there are atoms in the Earth. So we're going to do false first. So this is false. There are not more ways to shuffle a deck of cards than atoms in the Earth. Oh, okay. And those people that think there are, because everybody knows, like by now, how my things work, right? There are more ways. There you go. Okay, so there are 8 times 10 to the 67th permutations, unique permutations of a deck of cards, of 52 cards. And the approximate number, again, you can call me on this, it's but there are approximately 1.33 times 10 to the 50th atoms in the Earth. So difference between 10 to the 50th and 10 to the 67th. So if everybody on Earth who ever used a deck of cards did a fair shuffle, right, a random shuffle, it's possible that no 2 people in the history of cards have ever had the same deck. It's crazy.
Pretty hard to do it actually.
Yes, I agree. And when you open it up, everybody has the same deck. I get it. I get that. But again, so what I'm trying to do and with some of this stuff is question the things that you think you know. Question the things that you think are reasonable. And use the best available information to make a determination so that you can have the best possible outcome of your decisions. So, what is the strongest creature on Earth for its size? And what's that? Leafcutter ant. Grasshopper. Anybody else? Flea. All right. Tardigrade. I like those answers, but they're not right.
Oh my God.
Using its pili, a gonorrhea creature, is able to pull 100,000 times its weight. Now, that being said,
Should everybody clap now?
so no, that was worthy. That was worthy. I have to say that was worthy. So anyways, the actual force applied by the bacteria was around a nanonewton. So or 1/1000th of a newton, which, so the problem is that makes gonorrhea really effective at what it does. So it's entertaining in a way, but it's kind of, yeah. So I think in general, and my premise being that when we think we know what we know, we're comfortable with that. That feels good. I mean, I'm happy to wake up every morning and think my wife and kids love me, and that's another story. We won't even get to that. And I'm happy to know that choosing LEDs over incandescent or fluorescent lights is the right decision. And when I go to the store and buy those, I can feel good bringing that home and doing that. And I can feel, or I might have felt good every time I remembered my reusable bag instead of using another disposable bag. So those are the things that make us feel good. I mean, it feels good to be right. It feels good to think you know what you know about, and I'll go back to politics because it's an election year, to think you know what you know about Trump and Hillary and Bernie, and to follow that. And for anything it doesn't even have to controvert it, but just upset it or call it into question. That's uncomfortable. It does not make you happy.
By knowing more, you're increasing my guilt.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't say, so that's why I said it's uncomfortable science. This isn't the stuff that makes it easier. Although, what I will say is that putting in the effort, I used an example that there may not be a good answer. I mean, I will tell you the good answer about plastic bags. If you use disposable plastic bags, reuse them. Put your garbage in them. Reuse them for something else. And now you've taken that bag that equals a year's worth of cotton canvas. You're making it 2 years worth of cotton canvas. If you do use a cotton canvas, use it for more than a year. Wash it. Make sure it's clean. I mean, to be smart about it and take the information that you have and use it to make better decisions. Also, when you're looking at other decisions, look at all the available information. Don't just go with the meme. Don't just go with what your friends have recently posted about, vaccines or how to raise your children or whatever. Go with the best available information. Take a little time. Do your own legwork or Google work or whatever it is that's required and question the sources. So that's really what I hope you take away. I think understanding your bias is important. Understanding how to overcome that bias by making consistent, logical decisions based on the best available information. And it's hard to do. I don't do it all the time. It's part of my journey to try and apply that in my life more often. And I fail some of the time. Sometimes you see that meme and it's just too juicy and you share it. And then you find out it was the Onion or something like that. And it's happened, I admit it. So we make hundreds of decisions a day. Some of them impact the next 2 minutes. Some of them impact the next couple of weeks. Some of them impact our family, our community, or the world. So take a little time to dig a little deeper and be willing to be uncomfortable. It may be that there's a clear answer and you just have the wrong one and you have to accept the new one. All right. Thank you.